Today's my daughter's birthday, so I went into this very, very posh shop. In our little village, we've got this ancient hall, 500 years old, and it's got very overly priced little trinkets, and it's a card shop for all occasions. So there are absolutely hundreds of cards, and so I bought this card, and the card said happy birthday to the beautiful birthday girl, and it was like a little princess in the ballerina type thing, right? So perfect for daughter. Now I saw this and I had to buy this, albeit this was £25, but the secret garden. Life is a garden, people, and it holds many, many secrets. If you look the right way, you can see that the whole world is a garden. Now, this comes in a presentation box, so I'm going to wrestle a little bit, putting it back in. And I'm going to be speaking a little more about it. Goodness me. Come on. There you go. Put that in there like that. Put that in there like that. Alright, it's alright. Don't worry. You know, you may think the world isn't perfect, but trust me, it is. Alright, put that in there. And where else do you get this? You don't get this anywhere on the internet, do you? You don't get this I don't give a fuck attitude anywhere on the internet. Well, so depending on the way you look at it, people. Now I bought that for my daughter because there's been times in her life when she hasn't looked at the world like that, and as she's getting older and more mature, 35 tomorrow, then she's starting to see things more like that as I'm guiding her along. And when we look like that, when we consider that life is a perspective and the world does in actual fact derive out of you, it's out of your consciousness, your state of mind, your state of being, whatever you're projecting onto the world via whatever experience you've had along your journey. And if some of us have not been entirely happy, we're somewhat disgruntled, then we can very often project that back onto the world. And we can see this all around us with people that are joyless, and the only thing they want to talk about is their problems and the problems of the world and this, that and the other. And when I'm listening to people like this, I'm like, well, maybe you need to travel more, because travelling as extensively as I have around the world, I've come upon many, many incredible and beautiful places. Really, really stunning. And a lot of people with very pleasant dispositions, kindness and helpful and all that sort of thing. And so it's not all bad, and it's not all about muggles and muppets. But if we look through the rose-tinted glasses, then we will see everything in that perspective. And this book I'm reading at this moment in time, The Way to Mastery, or The Way of Mastery, is speaking about the very same thing. This morning when I was reading it, a few pages, and you know, isn't it a thing when we get into this realm, that we receive these messages. And so, how synchronistic. I was only just reading about this exact same thing, that the chapter I'm on now is about love and opening the heart. And it's saying that you don't need to seek me, Jesus, out in the abstract, because I am every much in the abstract as I am within you. And so seeking me in the abstract is non-necessary once you've found me on the interior. And I am exactly the same on the interior as your perception of me on the exterior. And so, perception, perspective, people. And so all of these misguided fools that are praying to Allah and Jesus and God in the sky and all this different sort of thing, when if they only learnt a little bit about their psychology and what was happening to them inside when they were doing this prayer and acts of devotion and generating a variety of feeling within their bodies, if only they knew that they were responsible for that. And then when they felt beautiful inside, they attribute that to Jesus, but without considering that they in fact did it themselves. And so Jesus is a facet of our consciousness. The devil is a facet of our consciousness. And if we consider that everything's terrible and that the world is out to get us and this and the other, then everywhere you look you would see demonic acts. You will see people speaking in a demonic way on the news, people manipulating us and trying to control us and, weaponize everything against us and create wars to eradicate us and all this sort of thing. And you could very well get to thinking that the devil is in the abstract, but the devil is being created from the interior of the human being and then projected onto the world. And so when somebody wants to start war, well, they are acting from the premise of the devil, metaphorically speaking, aren't they? From greed, from self-serving, from fear. How many wars are generated from fear? Well, we best attack them before they attack us, because we know it's imminent. Why do we have nuclear warheads all over the world? Because of the fear. Well, if they get them before us, then we're in trouble. And all this different sorts of stuff. But if we perceive the world to be a beautiful garden, your own secret garden, and just listen to the birds, open your eyes to the natural world around you, and think pleasant thoughts, and if it works for you, then invite Jesus, whoever you want to, into your heart. But those metaphors, they already exist. It's just that you have to fuel them. They're just thoughts, people. And when we emphasize thoughts and when we fuel thoughts, then they make manifest into something bigger and bigger and bigger, don't they? So we just imagine that if we are catastrophizing about a potential hazard looming, then it will get bigger and bigger and bigger. I have a friend of mine, she does this all the time. Everything always ends up being the most paranoid absurdity that could possibly be. It's a defense mechanism, and it's created out of fear that they're all out to get you, that they're going to do this and they're going to do that, but what if they did this, and what if you said that and they then decided that they're going to do this, what about that then? And it's come out, wow. How lucky some of us are not to be embroiled in those paranoid, negative, fear-based thoughts. I'm like, why did you give a fuck? Just don't give a fuck. Just have confidence in your own godliness, for God's sake. Just be strong. And if this person does this, and if that person says that, who gives a fuck? You're God. And if you think that way, look how it will change your world. Because presently, oh yeah, but they could do this and they could do that. Fret, 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 stress, stress, stress. Well, if you thought the other way, then you'd be self-empowered and you'd be larger than life and you'd be standing and walking tall and you'd be somewhat like me, who doesn't recognise gods and devils as an actual end game. I'm always saying, don't get me wrong, these metaphors and these egregores, they are around in this dimension, along with a myriad other very bizarre things. But if you realise that consciousness is king here in the cosmos, people, and we are consciousness. That's what we are. It's not like we have consciousness. We don't have consciousness. There's never been a single person on the planet could ever say or where it is or what it is. But consciousness just is, and we are conscious, so therefore we must be God. We must be God. It's a no-brainer. If consciousness is responsible for absolutely everything, which it is, because without consciousness, then what would we be? We'd be inanimate objects. We would be lampposts, wouldn't we, without consciousness? And when we see lots of people walking around, they resemble lampposts a great deal, to be quite honest. But when we become self-realized and we have a little intelligence and we analyze and assess things, then if we work things back, people, then we can see, well, we just do a Sherlock Holmes on life. And we just work back with reduction. If we apply a reductionary, logical, rational reasoning to life, then we go back, and what happens? Where do we end up? We end up in the abyss of pure consciousness, isness, awareness. Now I'm going to do a new video which is going to be explaining explicitly once again the lineage of this hierarchical system of what it is to be human being, starting with the pure isness of consciousness, which is awareness, and out of the awareness comes consciousness, and then from consciousness manifests the soul in the human body, and then because the soul has arrived in the body, it generates ego, and then from the ego we get a sense of self. So at the very, very essence and core of what we think this experience here is, being a human being, it's what people would call the self, or it's the me, it's the I, me, mine. And yet when you look for the I and the me and the mind, well, all those concepts just end up slipping through your fingers, because when you look for anything which is remotely solid and deterministic and ultimately reducible, well, you go back to source, because you go back from the illusion of the self into the ego, and then from the ego into the soul, and then from the soul into the body, the animated avatar, and then over and above that there's the spirit, which can't make manifest in the body without the soul, and then from spirit you go to consciousness and awareness and isness. So you follow the lineage back, and so it's just basically a chain of concepts that we're dealing with here. And if we slip into a deep meditation, then we just go back to source. We go back to the unadulterated awareness. It's very easy to do for those who have a little bit of training with meditation. Well, I have to stop myself, because many people find it incredibly difficult to stop this incessant nonsense going on inside their minds. They really are full-blown automaton, and so I can't say that. And I know many of you will never be able to meditate. You say this because you're ADHD, or you're hypersensitive, or you've got too much on your mind, or all these different sorts of things. But whatever the reason is, maybe it's a truism for you that you will never find this space. So you will never know what I'm speaking about. You will never ever experience this absolute stillness of the isness. And you won't be able to rationalise and grasp and accept what I'm saying about the lineage of these concepts. So You know, contemplation, people, and stillness like I'm in now. I wake up, like I've mentioned in lots of videos, every morning with these sort of profundities. And it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to explain this because I wouldn't think there's a single one of you that's ever thought about these things, that's ever put this lineage together. Let me mention it again. From the absolute beginning, we have an isness. It's indescribable. It's indiscernible, but there's something there which we can label as awareness, because we can grasp that, we can comprehend that because we are aware. We're all aware, okay? But many of us won't be able to grasp that that is what we are fundamentally, because you haven't experienced just that without the human being, without the world, without anything at all, without even being in the womb. Before you've been in the womb, there's consciousness. Before consciousness is awareness. You see, out of consciousness comes the broader scope of things, like the soul and the ego and the human avatar and this, that and the other. But in the state of pure awareness, there is nothing, absolutely nothing. And I'm asking you, and I'm asking you, and I'm asking you, have you ever experienced that for more than just a fleeting second where you think, I think no. When you have experienced it, you absolutely know, because it's the most profound experience you'll ever have as a human being. Going back to the source which you are, from whence you came. So the pure awareness. And then when you have a thought, then you're in the realm of consciousness. And consciousness then creates this Maya that we are considering is life and what it is to be a human being. And the tools that we use is the body and the brain, and out of the body and the brain, which derive from the soul, the life force, which makes it all happen, the electricity in the light. Well, out of that, then we get the manifestation of the ego, and then within the ego has to find a fiction of itself, and so it creates the self. You see, creates the self, and that's just a fiction. It's just an idea. The ego is just an idea. The ego just has ideas. And that's all that's going on, people. And so if we modify our ideas that we project onto the blank canvas of the cosmos, which we call the world, then you can see that we create the world, right? Yes. So, can you get your heads around that? Do you have anything to say about that? Come on, people, you really are quite tedious, you know. You really are quite tedious. I've laboured and I've laboured and I've laboured and I've laboured and I've laboured. And yet there's none of you that can actually say to me that, yeah, you get it, you know it, you feel it. And so therefore I go, well, what am I dealing with here? What am I dealing with? So then when I say to myself that it's solipsism, there's only me, well, it seems quite evident that there's only me. There's only me. I am God. This is my creation, and you guys are all extras in my self-created movie, right? Tell me I'm wrong. Explain to me why I'm wrong. Can you do that?